Something that I have always been fascinated with is the Mandela Effect. If you have no idea what the Mandela Effect is, it's basically when you and a group of other people remember something so specifically that was never actually true. Now, we say actually true. Is it a glitch in the matrix? Are we living in a skewed timeline and we're remembering something from another timeline so it was real to us at one time, although it's not a part of our current reality? The whole idea of the Mandela Effect is wild to me. And today, I want to watch this video with you guys and talk about Disney Mandela Effects. As a child, I watched a lot of Disney, and I know that there are a lot of things about Disney that my generation definitely remembers that didn't actually happen, so they say. So I am 40, so I think that I would be considered a Zennial. I'm right near the line of Gen X and Millennials. I remember a lot of the 80s as well as a lot of the 90s. So let's see what kind of Mandela effects Disney is trying to pull over on us. And I will make sure to link this video and the YouTube channel down in the video description below so that you can go give them a subscribe.
Let's kick things off with a Mandela effect regarding the mouse himself, Mickey Mouse. Which of these is correct? Mickey Mouse has a tail, Mickey Mouse doesn't have a tail. This one goes back many years, but plenty of people seem to remember Mickey Mouse not having a tail. I mean, he is an anthropomorphic mouse, but
yeah,
changes are
right?
obviously going to happen in the design phase. But as it turns out, Mickey Mouse has always had a tail.
I do remember him having a tail. I do remember that.
Next, let's talk about Disney's 101 Dalmatians, specifically the villain. This one has to do with Cruella de Vil's coat. Visualize it in your mind and tell me which one sounds right to you. Cruella without a spotted coat or Cruella with a spotted coat?
A spotted coat.
Many people seem to remember Cruella de Vil wearing a coat with black spots during the movie.
Yeah.
But this never actually happens. She wanted to catch the Dalmatians to make the spotted coat, as dark as that is. But thankfully she failed and wasn't able to. Memory's pretty wild, right? But here's where it gets weird. Even though this spotted coat was never shown in the movie, as far as we can prove today, someone was actually able to find some residue of it. Check this out. Here is a vintage doll from a Disney store of Cruella de Vil. And what's that?
There was a vintage doll with a spotted coat.
For something that doesn't exist. This is pretty compelling.
Right?
What do you think? Here's another 101 Dalmatians Mandela effect. Which spelling of her name is correct? Cruella de Vil or Cruella de Vil? Many people seem to remember Cruella de Vil with an extra L.
I think it's the bottom one.
Likely because de Vil looks more sophisticated. But apparently her name has always been spelled Cruella de Vil.
That's what I remember.
D-E-V-I-L. A clever play on the word devil. Do you see it now? Did that one get you?
That's why I remember that. Next up is
Cinderella, and this one is pretty wild. Do you remember Cinderella's ears being visible in the movie? Weird question, I know. I'll explain it all in a second. So, Cinderella with visible ears or Cinderella without visible ears? This is one of those Mandela effects that feels really off. You think to yourself, well, obviously she had ears. But strangely enough, her ears were never fully visible in the movie Cinderella. Many people seem to picture Cinderella in her transformed ball gown, hair up with her ears visible, but even in those shots, you can't see them. They're always covered up by her hair or a hairband. Something's always in the way. So tell me, was this simply an artistic choice? Is this a Mandela effect where somehow her ears are gone now for whatever reason? Or is this a hilarious example of animators not wanting to draw ears?
I think it's that.
I have no idea, but this one's really
just didn't want to worry about
so
ears.
I had to include it. It's pretty strange, but it's true. You can never see her full ears in Cinderella.
Interesting.
This next one is from Cinderella as well, and if you thought the ears thing was weird, wait until you hear about this one. Did Cinderella wear a black choker? Yes or no?
Yes.
As it turns out, Cinderella does indeed wear a black choker on her neck. This might seem like a weird addition to her blue and white dress, yet there it is. Does this look familiar? Cinderella's black choker has often been cited as a new addition to her outfit.
These aren't really Mandela effects that are affecting me. I remember a lot of these. Even in video games like Kingdom Hearts,
weirdly enough, she has her black choker. Even though it looks out of place, there it is. But here's where the plot thickens. Because I cover the Mandela effect so often, it's always in the back of my mind. So when I come across something related to one of them, I always take a few pictures. On a recent trip, I visited a McKay's, which is an amazing used book, gaming, and music store. And I found this really old Cinderella doll, and would you look at that? No choker. Interesting. So I started looking more into this, and I found that modern doll after modern doll all have the choker. But it's possible to find some really old dolls of Cinderella that don't have it. Is this residue of a time, place, or reality?
I don't think so. I think that they just maybe didn't put it on the... I think they just worried about the dress.
Let's talk about a famous quote from Snow White.
Okay.
The evil queen looks at her mirror and asks, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest one of all?" Or was it magic mirror on the wall? Who is the fairest one of all? This Mandela Effect is unbelievably popular because it's so shocking.
Who is the fairest
So many people believe
of them
that it's
all?
magic mirror on the wall. Who is the fairest one of all? And
Or
as
the
of
one
now,
of all.
magic mirror on the wall. Who is the fairest one of all?
No.
What's your take on this one?
No. It was mirror, mirror on the wall. It was mirror, mirror on the wall. It wasn't magic mirror on the wall.
Next up is the 1951 Disney movie Alice in Wonderland. Specifically regarding a quote from the Cheshire Cat. What is his famous quote that so many people seem to remember incorrectly? Is it, "Most everyone's mad here?" Or, "We're all mad here"?
We're all mad
Now that you've
here.
thought about it for a bit, which one is actually correct?
Right.
If you thought "we're all mad here," I can't blame you, because that's what I remember as well. But apparently it's "most everyone's mad here."
What?
And here's where it gets weird. That quote, "we're all mad here," does exist. It's actually in the novel, Alice in Wonderland. The quote is indeed said by the Cheshire Cat in Chapter 6, but it does not exist in the Disney movie.
Interesting.
The strange thing is, I've never read the Alice in Wonderland book. I've only seen the movie. So it makes you wonder, is it really as simple as quotes from a book influencing movie viewers? Or did this line actually exist at some point in the Alice in Wonderland movie?
I think it did.
And now it doesn't.
I
This
think
is
it
one of
did.
those weird ones where we just don't have enough information to actually know. Continuing with Alice in Wonderland, let's talk about Tweedledee and Tweedledum. What do you remember these two oddballs wearing on their heads? Flags or propellers?
Propellers.
As it goes now, Tweedledee and Tweedledum have yellow flags on their heads
No.
and have seemingly never had
They
little
had propellers.
despite what so many people seem to remember. In fact, this belief is so prevalent that BuzzFeed even put out a poll once, and here are the results. Out of the 312,000 people that
Wow,
took
look
part,
how split that
51% of them remember these characters having propellers on their hats. There's something that has apparently never existed, ever.
Wow.
It's really strange to me that the majority of people remember them.
Yep.
What about you? On the title screen of Disney movies, it shows Cinderella's castle. This next Mandela Effect has to do with that. On that logo that is shown, is the castle symmetrical or asymmetrical? What do you think?
Asymmetrical.
As of now, the castle shown at the beginning of Disney movies is actually asymmetrical.
Right.
Although it would feel more pleasing to the eyes if it was perfectly symmetrical. And many people remember it being that way. It has apparently always been to the right, making it
I don't
slightly
remember.
off-center.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
Do you remember the castle being asymmetrical? Or are you one of the hundreds of thousands who remember this differently? Remember the Disney movie Tarzan? There are many people out there that swear they remember the line, "Me Tarzan, you Jane," when Tarzan and Jane first meet in the jungle.
No.
This memory is widespread.
I was
and
not
often discussed,
really a
but
fan of
apparently
the
it never
movie,
happened.
but I
This
don't
famous line
remember
so
that.
many people remember was apparently never said, and it
Yeah.
goes deeper than just Disney. This is a variation of the often quoted but never actually said line of "Me Tarzan, you Jane." People swear this line exists in one of the early Tarzan movies.
That's what I
But
thought.
as of today, it has never been found.
Okay,
The line,
maybe
"Me
not in the
Tarzan,
Disney movie,
you
but in
Jane,"
the
never
original
appeared
movie,
in
I thought
any
it
of the
was.
original Tarzan stories or books either. This specific quote has been around for nearly 90 years.
Wow.
And no one has been able to source it.
Wow.
In 1984, the original actor for Tarzan, Johnny Weissmuller, passed away. In his obituary was a quote he gave to the Associated Press years earlier. He was asked to explain why he was so successful in his Tarzan movies, given his lack of acting skills. Johnny replied by saying, "How can a guy climb trees? Say, 'Me Tarzan, you Jane,' and make $1 million? The public forgives my acting because they know I was an athlete. They know I wasn't make-believe." So even in his obituary, he sang a line that apparently he never said.
Wow.
But everyone remembers it.
Wow.
Really weird stuff. Disney versus Disney's. Think back to your favorite Disney movie. Now on your favorite Disney movie's cover, is it Disney's or Disney? What I've always remembered and what feels most correct to me
Disney's.
is Disney's with an apostrophe S.
Right?
Disney's The Lion King. Disney's
Yeah.
Mulan.
Right.
Disney's Aladdin.
Right.
Disney's The Little Mermaid.
Right.
Disney's Frozen.
Right?
Well, I hate to be the bringer of bad news, but it has never been that way. Now it is, and supposedly always has been, simply Disney.
Really?
So what that means is Disney The Lion King.
No.
Disney Hercules. Disney Aladdin. Disney The Little Mermaid.
What?
Disney Frozen. It sounds awkward. It sounds disjointed. When I first saw this, I was like, that can't be right. And I started pulling out old movies, and it's always been Disney.
What?
Or Walt Disney Productions presents.
No.
They've never done Disney apostrophe S. Now, I did find a bunch of Disneys with an apostrophe S for books, for games, for like multimedia things, but specifically for the releases of the movies,
Wow.
never. To me, it sounds way off. It sounds wrong. So what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. I want to hear some stories of people frantically pulling out their older Disney movies to check and being blown away. Another Disney classic is 1992's Aladdin. This movie takes place in the nondescript Middle Eastern country of Agrabah. Well, here is the weird and confusing Mandela effect regarding that movie. What country is the Aladdin story now historically based in? Is it Egypt, China, Iraq, or Turkey?
Egypt,
One would
right?
believe this movie is based on a classic Arabic story or a folktale like Arabian Nights or The Thief of Baghdad. Well, you'd be surprised to learn that this isn't the case anymore. Aladdin is now originally based in China and was originally envisioned to have a full Chinese cast of characters, including 2 genies.
What?
I'm including this on my list because I found a thread of people freaking out about this seemingly changed historical fact. Is this what you remember of Aladdin's origins?
No.
Or was Disney your first and only introduction to this ancient story?
Yeah.
Let me hear about it in the comments below. Think back to
Wow.
the Disney classic The Lion King. Remember the characters Timon and Pumbaa? How do you spell Pumbaa? Is it with 1 A or is it with 2? Was it always spelled that way? Here you
I think
go.
it was just 1 A,
It's
right?
Pumbaa with 2 A's. What do you think? Is that the correct way of spelling it, or does Pumbaa with 1 A feel more accurate?
I think 1A felt more accurate. I
In
know
the
it's
first
not
Disney Pixar
accurate, but I
movie,
felt
Toy
more
Story.
accurate.
Woody is known for having multiple phrases for when his drawstring is pulled. Phrases such as, "You're my favorite deputy," and "Reach for the sky." Well, there's actually an even more famous quote of his, and that is, which of these? Is it, "There's a snake in my boot," or "There's a snake in my boots"?
There's a snake in my
the original
boot.
quote was indeed, "There's a snake in my boot," but unfortunately that has changed, and here's proof.
There's a snake in my boots.
No!
There's a snake in my boots.
No!
Here's the strangest part. I know for a fact that this quote was boot and not boots because I have a Woody toy, and when I squeezed it, it said, "There's a snake in my boot." Another telling part of this mystery is that in Toy Story 2, Toy Story 3, and yes, even the new Toy Story 4, the quote is, "There's a snake in my boot."
Yep.
So why is Toy Story 1's quote plural now? It doesn't even make sense.
Nope.
How can there be a snake in my boots? Stuff like this is what makes the Mandela Effect so interesting and addictive. Things that you know for sure are one way, things that you remember that are burnt into your brain are now different. Has it always been boots, or was it originally?
It was boot.
I
See?
can't be
It
alone
says
in this
right there on the toy.
There are dozens
There's
of
a
videos
snake in
on
my
YouTube
boot.
remembering and reciting this quote incorrectly now. So what do you think? Tell me in the comments below. This Mandela Effect has to do with the incredibly popular song called The Bare Necessities. I'm going to read a very specific verse, and I want you to tell me what goes in the blank. "Wherever I wander, wherever I roam, I couldn't be blank of my big home." Is it fonder or is it found? The lyrics that pop
Fonder.
up when you Google search the Bare Necessity lyrics, it says fonder. So
Fonder.
that must be right. Nope. If you watch the movie today, it now says found.
What?
Let's watch the clip and you can judge for yourself.
I couldn't be found out my big home. I couldn't be found out my
No,
big
that's
home.
not right.
Help me out, hardcore and casual Disney fans. What did you think about this change? Did that wording throw you off
Nope.
as much as it did me?
Yes, that's
Because
not
for
right.
me, found
That's
doesn't
not
make any
right.
sense. It's a "there's a snake in my boots" all over again. There was a scene in the 1967 animated classic The Jungle Book where the young human Mowgli is being talked into giving King Louie fire. During this song and dance, the bear Baloo joins in wearing an interesting outfit. What outfit is the bear Baloo wearing during the scene? Visualize it right now in your head before I give you some options to choose from.
Okay.
What do you see? Was it a coconut beak and a yellow grass skirt? Or was it a coconut bra and a green grass skirt? As it is now, it's a coconut beak and a yellow grass skirt. This is certainly not what I remember from the Jungle Book, but hey, that's just my opinion.
I remember
What
that,
did
but
you
I
think?
remember there being a
The
bra
coconut
too.
on Baloo's face just looks so off to me.
I do. I remember the
To this
the
day,
beak,
that's still a pretty big
but
Mandela
I do remember
effect.
the bra.
But now we have definitive proof that Baloo did indeed have a coconut bra, and that
I know
something
he did.
happened
I
at some
saw it.
point to change that. Floyd Norman is an 86-year-old American animator, writer, and comic book artist. He's worked for companies such as Walt Disney Animation Studios, Hanna-Barbera, and even Pixar. This extremely talented man did it all, working on everything from Sleeping Beauty and The Sword and the Stone to Robin Hood, The Smurfs, Mulan, and even Courage the Cowardly Dog. He even worked on computer-generated movies like Toy Story 2 and Monsters, Inc. All this to say, of course he worked on the 1967 movie, The Jungle Book. I bring up Floyd Norman because years ago he ran a Squarespace website that you can still look up and read to this day thanks to the Internet Wayback Machine, where he talks about his thoughts and feelings on animation, the industry, his dreams, his goals, and lots of insider stories that you'll never hear anywhere else. In a post he wrote called Things You Don't Know About the Jungle Book, Floyd delves into all kinds of fun details that most people have never heard of. For example, originally the Jungle Book story was, quote, dark, dreary, and full of mystery. So after Walt Disney himself viewed the storyboards, Walt yelled out, "This reminds me of Batman!" Apparently this was a shock to the team of artists because none of them ever expected a DC reference from Walt Disney. They even used to gossip back then that maybe Walt Disney was a secret DC Comics fan. Floyd's website has a ton of great details like that, but the one that really caught my attention was regarding Baloo and his now missing coconut bra. Here is his entire quote. Veteran writer Larry Clemens thought having animated characters in drag was a surefire gag. Every time the story team would come up with a wacky idea, Larry would always chime in and say, "What if we put him in drag? That would be hilarious." Eventually, Larry managed to get his way. When Baloo the bear has his wacky "I Want to Be Like You" duet with King Louie the orangutan, we put Baloo in a coconut bra and grass skirt.
Wow.
I think we finally managed to please Larry, and perhaps he was right after all. The zany duet between Louie, Prima, and Phil Harris was a genuine showstopper. There you have it, an artist that literally worked on the Jungle Book, as in drawing that animated classic with his own two hands, has confirmed that Baloo the bear was indeed wearing a coconut bra, like so many of us remember. I mean, this is straight from the horse's mouth.
Proof.
You don't get any more accurate than a first-hand account. This leaves all of us with a couple questions. Where is the coconut bra? What happened to it? If tons of people that watched that movie remember it, and one of the artists that worked on it remembers it as well, then where did it go? Perhaps it was Disney censorship and all the original copies were scrubbed from existence. But you'd think that at least one would survive if that was the case, or at least a clip of it.
You'd think.
This kind of gag at the time wasn't controversial. And if it was scrubbed from existence at some point after, you'd assume that someone out there would have knowledge of that. Right? Not to mention Disney as a company has never admitted to changing anything regarding this movie, and it's still viewable on even Disney+.
What Disney Mandela Effect do you remember? There are so many Mandela effects that just keep me awake at night, and most of them are not Disney related, so I'm probably gonna watch some more of this kind of content with you guys because I find it so fascinating. And if you like this kind of content, make sure to hit that thumbs up before you leave. I greatly appreciate it. Make sure to subscribe and also ring that notification bell. That way you're notified whenever I decide to post my next video. And I will see you guys later.